Go ahead.
Okay, so when you turn the collar on, you're pressing the big button in the back until, now I just turned it off, right? Press it in the back to turn it off, you hold it until the light goes out. Turn it on, just reverse that process until it says on, right? You want to make sure that you zero it out so that it says 0. Turning it away from you turns it up, turning it towards you turns it down. And the two indicators are M for momentary and C for continual. Don't change the functionality. Just makes it easier to use the collar, right? Okay. So when you go to marry the collar to the transmitter, there's a red magnetized dot on the side of the transmitter and a red magnetized dot on the side of the collar. Just marry the two together until you see the green light come on, okay? You'll know it's on because it'll flash intermittently. Okay, these lights are also your indicator as to whether or not the collar is discharging. If it starts turning amber and then red, it means it's dying. Same with this, it will start flashing amber, right? When it's on, or when you're using it, in order for it to transmit signal with these collars, it has to register at least a 1. If it's on 0, it won't transmit. It has to be at least on a 1. That way you can see it transmitting, okay? It'll flash red when it's being activated. It'll go back to green, just indicates it's in position, right? When you use the collar, can you hold them with one hand? Okay, when you use the collar, it's not about beating up your dog. Hold out your hand, I won't make it, I promise. Roll the tips of your fingers over the top. Hold it in place, but don't hold it tight. I want you to tell me when you feel it. Nothing yet? Tough gal. Nothing? Wow. Do you have carpal tunnel in that hand?
I do.
Do you really?
I do.
That right there, because there's interference with the nerve, and one of the reasons why you can't feel it is because of that interference.
Oh.
You still can't feel it?
No.
All right, let's switch it to the other hand and see if you can feel it in the other hand. Same thing. You want to belly of the thumb muscle, and hold it in place, but don't hold it super tight. And tell me when you feel it. Nothing yet?
No. Maybe my hands are just really rough.
Do you do a lot of work with your hands?
Yeah, I cut stained glass in my hand.
Oh, okay, so they're pretty callous. All right. Nothing yet.
Is this supposed to be like a buzzing?
Well, you'll feel it.
Oh, maybe I feel it now. Okay.
Can you feel that?
Yeah.
What's it feel like?
Like a little pulse.
Okay, it's on an 18 out of 25.
Okay.
Or, I'm sorry, out of 100.
Oh.
Okay, so you're still at the lowest quarter, okay? When we put it on the dogs, it's not about beating them up. It's not about, lighting them up like Hoover Dam. It's about using just enough pressure to get their attention. That's it. So when we put the collar on the dogs, right? Actually, we're going to reverse this. Oh, I hate this thing on the top. They make it so difficult. We're going to change it so instead of the collar going this way, it's going to go this way because these guys are tiny. We want it to cover an appropriate amount of surface area. So we're going to go from here. Right, so when we put it on them, now it's going to go this way. Okay, so we're going to take Miss Thing first because she's super fresh.
Do you want me to take some of this off her?
I'll take it off of her.
Oh, okay.
Come here, monkey. Come on, pup. Let's go.
You stay here.
Where you going? Camel up, Lassie. No. Good. One more. Okay. Good pup. I knows it. Oh, let's scrunch in mortal terror. We're going to leave the harness on, but we're going to take their little collars off because they're tiny and they don't have a lot of real estate. Oh, what are you acting like you're dying for? When we put the collar on, we want it relatively high. And we want it relatively snug. Not so tight that they can't breathe. But we want just enough space for us to be able to insert a finger. Right? The collar itself, why are you shaking like that? I haven't beaten on you in weeks. The collar itself should be, when you go to judge whether or not it's on, you should be able to insert a finger, not a whole hand, right? If they can relocate the collar by shaking their head, good girl, or scratching, oh, all right, we can do that. Then it's too loose, okay? When we introduce the collar to the dogs, all we're doing is just like I did with you, is we're raising it in increments of 1 or 2 at a time. And I'm going to tap. And what I'm looking for is a change in behavior, right? So she's staring at you and not moving. I know it's not affecting her because she hasn't changed, right?
And what are you tapping?
I'm just tapping the top button, right? The blue, or I mean the black and the red button, those are the only 2 buttons you need to concern yourself with. The button on the side is the tone function. It vibrates and they hear a tone. And we don't really want to use that because it has a tendency to send dogs over the edge. There is no point of reference for that, whereas there is with the static shock. Anytime you touch the door and you get that feedback, that's essentially what it feels like. They actually have a point of reference for that because they've experienced it too, and they know it's not harmful, right? If you use it at super high levels, yeah, but the point is to not hurt the dog. We may have to do a collar adjustment here. Oh, good girl. Very nice. That's on a 4, right? She turned as soon as she felt it, came back, and I rewarded that, right? So again, she's looking, yeah, we're going to have to do a collar adjustment because it slipped down so low. So I'm tapping. She can hear it. You can hear that you can see that she hears the auditory cue of the clicking from the collar, but she's, kind of flicking that one ear, which is on the side that the pressure is coming from, that the sensation is coming from. So that indicates to me that she can feel it. I'm going to move it up to a 5. So that seeking behavior tells me that she can feel it, but again, it's not sufficient for her to respond to it, right? So, and again, we're not going up, good girl, very nice. We're not going up in huge increments. We're basically just moving it up a step at a time in order to get what we consider to be an appropriate response, which basically change what you're doing, right? She's moving away, good girl. Hanging close, I'm going to reinforce, I'm not going to tap. Moving away, I'm going to tap, good girl, until she turns to acknowledge me, and then I'm going to reinforce that, right? Super simple stuff. When we introduce, it's not about beating the dog up. It's simply about getting the dog's attention, right? And the first thing we do is teach the dog to move its feet. That's it. Move its feet in a general direction. Essentially what we're doing is the pressure means look at the handler. Good girl, almost, right? We're going to have to adjust the collar because she keeps shaking her head and moving. Come on up, monkey. Up you go. Yeah. Thank you. Come on. Up you go. Oh, stop. Thank you, you little monkey. If it's that easy to relocate, it's way too loose. So we're gonna tighten it down. Just one. And we start all over again. All right? And for those of you in TV land watching, you see her shaking. About 55 degrees in the building. She wasn't shaking when she was on the floor. She was shaking when she was made to get on the table. So, don't create false prejudices because we're using a collar. We're on an 8. I'm moving it back down to 0. Why?
Just to see when.
I changed the conditions, right? So, anytime you change the conditions, whether it's collar fitment, location, whatever, we always go back to 0. We're back up to an 8. There we go. So that's her working level, basically, or the level where she actually feels a sensation occurring, right? That's out of 100, okay? You didn't feel it until it was 18, okay? So that's still the lower 25 percentile of the collar. And with these guys, for the most part, again, it's not about beating them up, it's about getting their attention. The very first thing we're doing is teaching the dog that when they feel that pressure to respond to the thing at the end of the leash, right? So she's looking away. Good girl. She turns to look at me, right?
No.
So we're affecting behavior by applying very little pressure. She's seeing the dog in the other room. I'm tapping. She's not responding. I'm going to increase it incrementally to a 10. I'm tapping. And again, what I'm looking for is for her to respond to the thing at the end of the leash. Now you notice the difference. 2 steps between an 8 and 10, and what'd she do? She went from, yeah, whatever, to, holy hell, what was that, right? But again, it's not enough to overwhelm her. Good girl. It's enough to basically say, this is untenable. You have to do something in order for this to go away, right? So when we're talking in terms of teaching things like heel and recall, once we establish the precedent that e-collar pressure means move your feet, we can start directing what direction the dog moves its feet into, right? So when we supply distractions, you and your other dog good girl. I didn't even tap, right? She's like, something's different about this relationship, okay? And all it is basically helping her to understand that now there's a little bit more importance attached to the person that's at the end of the leash, right? So, okay, Les. Soft release. I'm going to withhold her ability to make contact, and then I'm going to tap. Until she moves in my general direction. Good girl! Right? She can shake that off. That's her way of saying, whoa, what the heck was that? Right? But all I did, without compelling her, yank, was make her move away from what she wanted, you, and Archer as the distractions, and return to me. Right? Good girl. And I reinforce that while she's in motion. Yes, this is in fact what I want you to do. Right? So it's not, no, don't do that. It's pressure means move your feet. Right? Good girl. Okay. Same thing, soft release. And now I've already created, not necessarily a superstition, but for lack of a better word, some hesitancy because she's gone, last time was a trap. Oh, good girl. Very nice. And now what I'm going to do is reinforce her cooperation by giving her what it is that she wanted. You. Okay. Good girl. Right? So I'm not going to punish her. That's what she wanted. That's the reinforcement she was seeking to begin with. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be about food. What we do want to do is reinforce the things we want by allowing the dog the opportunity to earn them. Right? Good girl! Hey, come here, you. Good puppy. Shandy's the bestest girl ever. Kennel up. No, no, I don't wanna. No. I know you can jump up there. Kennel, good girl. One more. Yay! Nope. No jumpy. Very good girl. You're still slipping around all over the place. We can't go any tighter because you'll be going. Good girl. Okay. So now, I haven't done anything, right? She felt the leash pressure and responded automatically, which is good. So now that we've assigned some meaning to the e-collar pressure, we can apply that to things the dog knows. Okay? Shandy here. Good girl, okay. Right? Good girl. Shandy here. Good girl. Sit. Yes! Very nice. Right? So it becomes a lot less burdened with the stress of leash corrections or yoking on the dog or applying unnecessary pressure in uncompromising circumstances. The ball, the things in your yard, stuff like that. So I guess the next step would be to test that. Where is that ball, Dave? Oh, it's in the, you could have just told me, I haven't gotten it.
I don't know for sure. If I would've said it was back here and it's not, then.
Then I moved it down to an 8, right? There we go, right?
She heard
So,
it. Right?
yep, both of them. Okay? We know what's gonna happen, right? What I'm doing is I'm simply tapping until I get the dog's appropriate response. Which at this point in time, all I'm really requiring is don't fire off on the ball, right? So, and again, we're on an 8. And now all of a sudden we have a dog who's like interested in it, but she's not overwhelmed by it.
Pan over to this one so you can see the difference in what.
I want to step on your little tail. Alright? So now she knows this is a trap. There's the ball. Tap, tap, tap. Shandy here. Good girl. Sit. Oh, I know. Right? The whining isn't about pain. We've established it's not uncomfortable. The whining is about frustration and anxiety. Are you sure? This is the thing I love the most. I can't have it. I mean, look how she's articulating herself. So she can see and make sure that Archer doesn't get to it first. Right? Here. Sit. Good girl. You see how easy it is to correct? Okay. And again, access to the thing she wants. And now she's like, yeah, no, I'm not real sure I want that, right? And it's not about beating her up. It's about giving her options and timing exactly what we are able to extract from the dog. Good girl. Very nice. A lot less stressful. Good girl. And it's not about, denying her access to rewards. It's just finding something that's a little bit more compelling to reward her with, right? Access to freedom. Food is great until you don't have food, right? Go get it. Good girl. Very nice. Very nice. Jamie here. Good girl. Very nice. Okay. See how easy that is? Yeah? Very nice. What a good dog. Now, we're controlling the outcome, right? It's very different than what you're going to be experiencing at home. But everything that we do is the exact same, right? So she sees this distraction. She has the latitude to explore it. I just gave it to her. I'm not going to wait until she's overwhelmed. I'm going to catch her while she's going mentally, right? Right there. Here. Good girl. Okay. Good pup. Very nice. You're such a good girl. I really like the effort you're making. I couldn't have planned that better if I'd have planned it. Right? Here. Good girl. No. Here. Sit. Yes. He knows it, huh? What a good dog. See? Okay. Make sense?